podcast where we take a deep dive into all things ammunition. I'm your host, Audrey Mays, and today I'm sitting down with Team Remington sporting clay shooter Madison Sharpe.
Thanks, Audrey, for having me. It's good to be back in Lonoke.
Yeah, nice to have you in Arkansas. We're going to break down sporting clays for you guys. Madison actually just came from the U.S. Open a few weeks ago and did really well. But, Madison, you've been on a couple Remington podcast episodes. If you want to check back to our women's duck hunt that we had back in, November? December. And one of those months. And then also the NWTF episode. And both of those, we talked about turkeys. We will get caught up on Madison's single season Grand Slam. But first, I want to talk about, what's your connection to Remington? What brought you here? Why do you keep appearing on the Remington podcast?
Well, Audrey, so I've had this really long connection with Remington. So I've been on the team. I believe this is my fourth season. More importantly, I grew up shooting the ammunition. Mm-hmm. And if we want to go even deeper into my family history with Remington, my great uncle, he actually did an advertisement with Rim Arms, I believe in 1963 when the 1100 came out, mm-hmm. which is really cool, pretty interesting.
Yeah, the big debut of the 1100, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Yes. They did it down in Florida. He was a hunting guide, and he is still living today. He is 88 years old, mm-hmm. Which is amazing. So I do have some family history with Remington outside of just shotgun shooting, clays.
Yeah, that's really cool. I mean, we're going to try to find that ad for you guys and then for you, Madison. If we can find it, we'll put it up here. But I will say that you're one of the people who shoots Remington, not because we sponsor you, but because that's literally just what you reach for. Like when you pick up anything, whether it be ducks or clays, genuinely.
Yeah. So I even remember when my dad, we go buy ammo, mm-hmm. and he was always looking for Remington. Yeah. Even when I was shooting a 20 gauge, mm-hmm. it was Remington. So whether it was shotgun, rifles, it didn't matter. He always reached for Remington. And it's just because it was American made, quality, and just the best people that make the ammo,
yeah.
right?
Yeah. I mean, when you live Remington, that's kind of what you choose forever. I will say
that's
that.
Right.
Yes. So we're going to break down sporting clays. We've broken down Skeet with Schaefer and Trap with Logan Henry. And so now we're going to break down sporting clays. Break down for us what is sporting clays basic level.
So in my mind, the first thing that pops up in my mind is golf with a shotgun, right? So you have anywhere from 12 to 16 stations. You move from station to station and shoot so many pairs each station, and they score you based on hits and misses. Yeah. So also there's different types of target presentations, and the really cool thing about sporting clays is all of these targets change. Mm-hmm. So you're never going to go to the club and see the same exact target every single time. Yeah. You can change the speed, the distance, you can move the whole entire machine. So that's what makes sporting clays interesting to me.
Mm-hmm. And even the types of clays are different, right?
Yeah, so there's different types of clays. You have your standard, which is, I would say, probably about 80% of the targets that we see. Mm-hmm. Then you have 90 millimeters, which are middies. And then we also have minis, and then rabbits, batus, and they all throw different presentations.
Yeah. I mean, we here at the Remington Gun Club, we sent a rabbit up the side of a tree. We called it a squirrel.
We did. And that was one of the coolest targets I've ever seen. Yeah. I haven't seen one in a competition yet, but when I was here last, that was pretty cool.
Yeah, kudos to us. We won. So how many clays do you usually shoot in a single round of sporting?
So at our competitions, most of the main events are 200 targets. Okay. Sometimes it's broken up into 2 days, sometimes 3. And here recently, we've been seeing a lot of 3-day main events. So we'll have a 66 target on a Friday, mm-hmm. a 66 target on a Saturday, and then a 68 target on a Sunday.
Mm-hmm. And so you go to these stations, right? Which would be like holes in golf.
Yes.
And how many they usually throw per station? Does it just depend?
It just depends. So on the 100 target main, it depends on how many stations there is, obviously. Or 100 target main each day, which makes up your 200 targets. It, like I said, it just depends on how many stations there are. They just do the math on it, right? Yeah. So that just really varies from club to club and tournament to tournament.
Mm-hmm. And then there's, report pairs and true pairs, right? And that changes at every station as well.
Yeah. So obviously they have somebody come out and set targets for our competitions, and the target setter will make the menu as well.
Mm-hmm.
And if there is a specialty target, they'll put that on the menu to let us know.
Oh, you'll already know.
Yes.
Okay.
So like if there's a rabbit, for example, it may say a bird, which is the rabbit.
Okay. Okay, cool.
Yep.
And then you'll know if it's report or true.
Yes, based off the menu.
Based off the menu. And then you get a show pair.
Yeah.
Right?
So we get 2 show pairs in all of our tournaments.
And so that's basically where you get to preview them flying before you pull the trigger, or like it counts towards your score.
No, it doesn't count toward our score.
Okay.
We just get to view the targets twice, 2 pairs.
And you say main event. That means there's another event, which is usually 5 stand?
So we have we have prelims, we have 5 stand, we have FETASC, we have super sport. They also do sub gauge events. So there's a good variety and several events that you can enter into.
Okay. So it's not, could you just shoot the main?
Yes.
Okay.
You can shoot, if you wanted to go and just shoot a 5 stand, you can just go shoot a 5 stand.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
And then how do you become a sporting clay shooter? Is it just on, what is that, the NSSCA or?
Yeah, so the NSCA is the organization, the governing body. So that just stands for National Sporting Clays Association.
Mm-hmm.
Anyone can go buy a membership, and then you can go online to Score Chaser to go view all the upcoming tournaments. And most of those on there are going to be your registered tournaments. So you're going to want to be an NSCA member to register for those. And then they have a class system, which you have to earn punches by basically winning or placing in the events.
Okay.
And then the more punches you accumulate, and I don't remember, how many punches it takes to get from, say, C class to B class. But every class that you move up, it takes more punches to get. And so the goal is to get to the highest class, in which now they just added a pro class.
Oh, okay. I didn't know that.
Yeah. So that was for this year. So like the championship tour that, we go on, so that includes the U.S. Open, Nationals, and 5 regionals. They put us into a pro class.
Okay.
Yeah. And so, and they also changed the classes this year too. So like now you start, I believe, in C class, there's a B class, A class, AA, and master.
And then pro.
And then pro.
Okay.
Yes.
Gotcha. Yeah.
Yep.
So is there anything below C class?
There was a D class. I think if you were an NSCA member prior to the change.
Okay. They just put
and you kept
C.
up. Yeah. You kept up with your membership. You're still in D class.
Okay.
Prior to this year.
Okay, gotcha.
I believe. I don't want to say for sure because
Madison's I haven't been that low in a while.
No. But I just don't keep up with all that.
No, yeah.
All this stuff. So
yeah, because it doesn't really pertain to you at this point.
Exactly.
Yeah, I understand. How often do you usually shoot you usually shoot the main and the little side ones?
So for the most part, I shoot the main, the prelim, the FETASC, the 5 stand, and the super sport.
You just go full regalia. You're I'm going to do it all. Yeah.
Basically, if it's a 12 gauge event, I'm going to shoot it.
Okay, gotcha.
Yes.
And then how often, you travel to all these other events, how often is it just 5 stand? Is 5 stand normal?
There's never just a 5 stand.
Okay.
Main event.
Okay.
Our main events are always going to be sporting
course.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Because you've traveled to, what did you go this year? Dubai?
I did.
Yeah.
So that setup was a little different.
Okay.
And so I went over 2 years ago, and it was more like a FETASC setup. And this year they said that it was more like a super sport setup. Which are very similar because 2 years ago, they didn't make you start out of the gun, which in FETASC, I believe it's 25 centimeters. You have to start out of the shoulder. And you can't move.
So you can't be down when you say pull kind of thing.
You can't be mounted.
Yeah, mounted.
In FETASC.
Okay.
But they didn't enforce that rule 2 years ago. So you could start mounted in the gun. But this year, I believe they said it was more of a super sport style, which, either way you can mount. A lot of the European shooters, they stay out of the gun. So more like a FETASC mount.
Oh, interesting. Okay. Yep. I didn't actually know that there was a difference. And then what is super sporting?
So super sporting, your typical super sporting is you're going to have 3 or 4 targets.
Okay.
You walk up, you can only view the singles, and you can start mounted and super sport.
Interesting.
Right.
Okay.
So, and then there might be there's going to be pairs, but there may be a true pair. You can't view the true pair. So whoever's up in the box first, they have to go based off of whichever way they think is the correct
and
way.
like kind of just put it in their brain and hope that they remember where those targets are going.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
And hope that they chose
correctly.
to shoot the pair correctly, right?
Yeah. That's interesting.
So
yeah, it's like 5-stand is confusing to me. Not confusing. I'm bad at it because it's a lot like trap, kind of, where like you there's only 5 stations and you rotate.
Yeah, but there's just more targets.
There's more targets, and there's like, I don't know, I think we have 8 machines at the Remington Gun Club one.
Yeah.
And basically you see each target once, and then there's a menu.
And then you have to follow
you have to follow the menu. But all the menus are different from like stand to stand to stand. So you're like not really getting to know where the targets are coming from. At least me, because I'm not a professional, y'all. So like I will lose it immediately.
So for any of our listeners,
yeah,
sporting clays is gonna be your golf with a shotgun.
Okay.
The 5-stand, the FITAS, the super sport. Those are gonna be your side events where there's gonna be multiple targets at your station or your peg.
Yes, yeah.
And then you almost have to just put together in your mind which way you're going to shoot the pairs. And then the prelim is always going to be a sporting style.
Okay.
So same, only 2 targets at each station.
Yeah. And you get to shoot them multiple. So like in sporting clays, if there's like, 4 report pair, the 4 pair are the same.
Every time. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Which is, to me, a little more easy.
Yeah, it's definitely less confusing, especially
less
like
confusing.
for somebody beginning and just getting into it. What's the difference between 5-stand and sporting? Well, sporting, you're just repeating the pair however many times the menu says, right? So if it says 4 true pair, you're shooting 4 true pairs and it's the same 2 targets every time. 5-stand, you could have anywhere from 6 to 8 machines and you're going to shoot your single. Yeah. Then you're going to shoot your report pair. Yeah. And then you're going to shoot your true pair. And in the true pair, that's where you have to make up your mind which way you're going to shoot it.
And I feel like really skilled people, they kind of remember where the machines are throwing, right?
Yeah. So like all of our machines are going to be labeled. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah,
so
they
like
have signs out there.
Yes.
Yeah.
So like you get to view all the singles twice and it's just left up to you how you want to shoot the true pair. So I would say for the most part, I've never really gotten confused or forgot where a target was coming from because they are labeled for you.
Yeah. Okay, maybe not where it's coming from. What it's going to do, I guess.
Yeah. Okay. So if that's the question, then everybody has forgotten, exactly what a target's going to do because you have multiple machines on a 5-stand. Yeah. Well, and like the second part to it is station 1, the view, like where you see the target at in station 1, the angle is going to look completely different from station 5. Right. Okay. And so like that's kind of the point of the 5-stand is
so you rotate.
You're just rotating and moving around. Yeah. And it's left up to you to know the shot. Yeah. And be able to execute it properly.
Yeah. I find it super interesting. Because we just got a 5-stand at the gun club and we've had a sporting clays course for a while and everyone shot sporting clays. They became registered shooters. They were like, sporting clays is the best. It's so great. And then we got a 5-stand and we opened it up and they're like, I hate it. It made them realize, oh wait, I'm not as good of a shooter as I thought I was because they're not seeing the same pair like multiple times. Yeah. Because you can't, master. If you if you have what we say in 4 true pair, say you miss one of them on the first one, you make it on the second, you get both of them on the second try, and the next 2 tries you just replicate that. You don't get that in 5-stand. Right. Yeah. Yeah. So different beast. Anyways, that's my rant about 5-stand. You're welcome.
You're doing great, Audrey.
Thank you very much. Thank you. I know that you've said it on this podcast before, I just want to run it back. You actually practice for sporting clays using different disciplines of clay breaking, like skeet.
Yes. Yeah. So one of my practice tools is a skeet field. And you can ask anyone that knows me, I am not a skeet shooter. I do not go and compete in skeet tournaments, and I will not shoot a full round of skeet.
I won't do it.
Sorry for my skeet shooters that are listening,
Look,
but
if you don't understand that, there's like beef. There's like a cultural beef between sporting clay shooters, skeet shooters, and trap shooters. None of them like each other, and now you know. But yeah,
Logan's
continue.
cool. You're cool.
Yeah,
Y'all are trap shooters, right?
Yeah.
So like you have the background in trap.
Yeah.
But no, so I will use a skeet field as a practice tool. And I've kind of developed my own little, I guess, practice regimen, I guess you could say. And it's called the grid. So I'll go to stations 3, 4, and 5. And from station 3, I'll shoot 4 pairs without missing, and it's low report high. Then I'll go to station 4, do 4 pairs without missing, low report high. Station 5, 4 pairs without missing, high report low. Back to station 4, high report low. 4 pairs in a row. And then I'll just keep backing up.
Get further away.
Yeah.
Okay.
So what that does for me is it helps create connection. And it also helps create consistency, right? So really being able to use the eyes, because my goal is I want to break the target before the center stake or right at the center stake. So if I'm able to do that 4 pairs in a row, then I shouldn't struggle as bad on the sporting.
Right.
So it's just a good place to go start at. And there's not a lot of moving around. You know, we aren't loading back up on the golf cart and moving. And in my mind, if I can't do it on the skeet field, I don't need to go to sporting yet.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because
So
you haven't made that connection.
right. So I use it and I shoot the sporting style. You know, if a skeet shooter and a sporting shooter are going to teach 2 different ways, or instructors are going to teach 2 different ways. So like, for example, some of the kids on the youth team, like we'll go out and we'll go shoot skeet if they're getting ready for a skeet competition. I'm going to tell them something a little different than, you know, your professional skeet shooter, but their goal is to be able to replicate the shot and score 100, a perfect score, right?
Right.
And so in our sport, 100 is not going to win every time, right? So, and I wouldn't say it's very rare, but it's pretty rare to shoot 100 in sporting clays because the targets are different.
Right.
Skeet is a game of repetition. And so the skeet shooters, they've come up with, you know, their methods of whole point has to be exactly here. I hear that they like to look outside the window more. Yeah. Versus a sporting clay shooter, we want to watch the target come off the machine. Or for me, at least, you know, I feel like if you aren't doing that, then your timing is going to be off in clays. And so like that might be like a small difference. Like, but again, like I don't think there's necessarily a right or wrong way to do it. I'm just going to have a little bit different perspective on my teaching style for skeet versus a professional skeet shooter. Yeah. But so that's why I go use the skeet field, because it's a really good practice tool. So
like almost a warm up.
Exactly. That's basically what it is. And I won't leave the skeet field until I'm able to break my 4 pairs at all those stations. Yeah. And if I'm getting ready for a major tournament, my mindset is I need to be able to run this whole thing without missing, and I should be able to do that. So that's how I use the skeet field as a practice tool. Every now and again, I'll shoot around a trap.
No, you won't.
Well, like maybe once a year.
Yeah.
If I feel like I'm struggling a little bit on trap targets, I might go shoot a little bit of trap. But,
yeah, because they'll mix those in. Like they'll throw a trap target into a sporting clays event, but it'll be like 1 out of 25. So, that's a great practice tool. Ronnie Evans, our shot show manager, who's on the podcast a lot, he started using it, and he's seen an improvement in his game too. Well,
and it's like super easy, right? So like it's not super time consuming. Again, like you don't waste that time moving from station to station. And it's an easy way to work on connection and, you know, using your eyes. And being consistent. So that's really when I started using it. I spent a lot of time on the skeet field. And I feel like that's something that's made a big difference in my shooting game.
Yeah. Almost like too, if you're frustrated with the sporting game, because it's different every time, it like brings you back to center. Yeah.
Right. So like it's kind of like, okay, we're going to start with the basics, you know, hold point, break point, as set correctly. You know, whenever you see the flash of the target, we're starting the gun, starting on time. And in order for you to break that target consistently at the center stake, you know, that's a lot of things to do and very little time to do it. So if all of those things are right and you're being able to break the target at the center stake, then you're doing it right. And then once you do, you know, all 4 rounds of that, then take 10 yards back.
Yeah.
You just keep backing up. I've gone and I've spent, you know, just a flat on the skeet field.
Yeah.
Sometimes more than a flat. When I feel like my timing is off, I'll especially just go spend the whole day at a skeet field. And I keep working myself back.
And that's pretty much how you polish your fundamentals.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. Because, I mean, when you took us out at the women's event and you had us shooting, I mean, you were really harping on the way we stood because it's important.
Yeah. The stance is super important.
Yeah.
Right. You know, if your body if you're bound up, like, and you can't move correctly and you start moving the gun with your arms, then one or two things is going to happen. You're going to pull the gun away from your face. Okay. And now your eyes are not looking where you're shooting at. Or 2, you're going to run out of room and ultimately slow down the gun. And that's never good. And you got to keep the gun moving, connecting to that target, matching the speed. And that's really the biggest pieces to shooting. Besides the mental game, that's a whole nother story. You know, we could sit here and talk hours about that.
Yeah, just about what it takes to get over missing a target, especially when you know.
And preparation. I mean, just the whole 9 yards.
Yeah. I feel like, you know, trap is obviously a different game than sporting, but when you miss a target and you know you're no longer going to win. Like, period, because 100 is going to win. Like, in trap, 100 targets is going to win.
So, like, that's another reason. So, like, Audrey, I'm sorry, but
it's fine.
To me, trap is just so boring. I'm like, you have to shoot 100 straight to get in the shoot-off.
Yes, yeah. To get into the exciting
Like,
part.
I don't want to shoot 1 million targets of the same exact thing. Like, I'll be dreaming about that. I don't want to do that.
Yeah.
Like, I dream about when I'm giving lessons enough as it is.
Yeah.
So I don't want to dream about trap targets.
Yeah,
no.
that's fair. You know, I'm okay with that. Yeah, we were, you know, I talked to the manager of our gun club all the time, and when he does registered sporting gear, he's like, you know, sometimes our highest score is an 88.
Yeah.
Like, and that's normal, I guess. That's crazy. I mean, not for you. Because Madison comes out and wins our dang charity event every year, okay? Because she balls up on people, but it's okay. We enjoy it. Actually, sometimes some of the locals give you a run for your money.
Team Remington, though.
Yeah.
Right? So when you're on Team Remington, you gotta
represent.
Put the smack down.
Yeah. I mean, and shout out, Shoot to Cure is September 19th. Be looking out for that.
Yeah.
That's the charity shoot we're talking
Y'all
about.
be there, be square.
Yeah. Okay, y'all. We're going to get into the turkey hunt. So look, back in December, you said one of my like biggest goals is to shoot a single season Grand Slam. And then when we talked to you at NWTF, you said, actually, I'm going to shoot it. Because who took you?
So I ended up meeting a gentleman by the name of Mark Reed. And so we got connected and he's like, let's make it happen.
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay.
Yeah.
Like, let's do it. Like, great. And so we did that. So I started off in Florida with my turkey hunt, my Osceola. Spent 3 days down there, had a blast, sitting up against a palm tree.
Yeah.
I've never done that before.
Hunting turkeys.
Hunt, right? Yeah.
That's cool.
So, like, that was like a whole new experience for me. And then we came to my home state in South Carolina. The birds didn't really want to act right there, so it took us a little bit longer than normal. Our season, I feel like, was a little off. So I killed my Easter in there. Then I came to Texas. I shot my Rio. And then in between my Rio and my Merriam's hunt, I went to the U.S. Open.
Yeah.
I did well there.
Yeah. We'll touch on that too. That'll be our closing remarks.
And then I literally left from Mississippi on that Sunday night. And by Tuesday, I was hunting Merriam's up in Wyoming.
Yeah. That's a crazy like whirlwind trip. And you did it.
I did it.
You were successful.
Yeah.
I heard it was a crazy season, like not what you thought it was going to be. Yes. Usually when you get taken on a trip to go, you know, shoot a single season Grand Slam, you think you're going to at least get one turkey that just walks up on you.
Yeah. This like supposed to be the easy hunt, right?
Yeah.
But I will say, as hard as I worked for my turkeys this year, that was the fun part when it all came together. Like when I finally had that bird in my lap, when I harvested that bird, that was when it was like, oh my gosh, this is super rewarding.
Yeah.
Like I just sat out here for however many days, sun up, basically sun down, and worked these birds, and to finally get them in front of me, that was the awesome part, right?
Yeah.
So many times you can turn on the TV and, from other people turkey hunting, they make it look so easy. Like it happens in like 20 minutes. And not saying it doesn't happen like that, because sometimes it does, right?
Yeah.
But this year I really had to work for my turkeys, which put into perspective, how cool the wild turkey is, how hard I had to work for it. And then again, like to finally be able to just grab that bird, and I'm like, okay, I did that.
Yeah.
That was fun. And we did use the Remington TSS for all of my hunts.
Yeah.
And they whacked them.
Which is great, because like it was a hard hunt, like you said. So when you needed it to happen,
yes,
like you had the best out there. You were like, I'm going to smack them with this.
I did.
Yeah, that's great. I mean, I'm so glad that you got to do that. That's awesome.
Thank you.
Again, it was not easy. I don't know what's going on with the turkeys in Arkansas. Okay, in Arkansas, they're not great. I didn't even see one. I heard one day. I sat for, the full day, probably like 6 to 8 hours. And then the next day, I heard a hen once. Arkansas turkey hunting. And that was it. So I never even like crossed my line of vision. But I'm so glad that it worked out for you. And you said that you saw a ton of jakes.
Yes. Oh my gosh. Which is awesome for next year.
Right. Or the year after. Yeah.
Yeah. And so like I was telling you, you had planned to come down to South Carolina. I'm like, Audrey, like I can't promise you a bird, because here's what's going on. Right. Yeah. But next year we should have no problem.
Yeah.
I watched, anywhere from 8 to 12 jakes in one group run mature birds off.
Crazy.
And
They're
it
banding
is crazy.
Together. Yeah.
Which it like in the sense of nature, it was super cool to see. But whenever you're kind of on a timeline here to try and complete your slam in a single season, kind of messes you up a little bit. But it was really cool to just watch nature happen, Yeah. Because, most people think, oh, a mature tom is going to be the dominant bird. Well, whenever you have multiple jakes, gang up on them basically.
Yeah.
And run them off, that was pretty cool to see, kind of how things work,
Well, it's nice that it worked out though. Like you got to witness nature. You got to witness like all these jakes coming up. You're excited for next year, and you filled your single spread.
So next year, Audrey,
come to South Carolina.
Come to South Carolina. We should have you covered.
We're getting a turkey. 2026 is my turkey year. It's happening.
It's happening.
It's happening. I'm not sure that I'll shoot a registered sporting clays shoot, but I will get a turkey in 2026. Let's go back to that U.S. Open. How did you do? Walk us through it. You did great. I mean, we know, but
yeah. So I did do well. So I just won my 3rd U.S. Open ladies title in Mississippi, the club, Providence Hill. It was absolutely beautiful. Remington was there as one of the vendors. So it's always nice to see our guys there representing. And then the whole team, we did extremely well. Todd Hitch, he took home HOA, which is awesome for Remington. We got HOA and then the ladies HOA. But I did do well. So leading up to this tournament, if I'm being completely honest, I had no expectation. I've had a lot of life changes here recently. And part of the reason that I immediately said yes to this Turkey Grand Slam was to do something a little different, right? So I've been competing for 13 years and sometimes we just start to get burnout on it. So I started off the year not in the greatest fashion, but I went to the Gator Cup and Seminole Cup and Dubai, and I didn't shoot to my full potential. So I was a little bummed about that.
Sure.
I was getting irritated pretty quickly. I'd go out and practice and it felt like I couldn't fix my problems. So when I got asked to go do this Turkey Slam, I was like, absolutely, that's going to be something that kind of takes my mind off of shooting for a little while. And I knew that leading up to the Open, I wouldn't get much practice in. So really, how I prepared myself for the U.S. Open was sitting up against a tree. I did a ton of visualization. I had plenty of time sitting in the woods, you know, a ton of visualization and just getting my mind right, thinking positive things. And so when I got to the U.S. Open, I started off with the prelim. I shot a 95 in the first event that I competed in there. And that felt like the old Madison. Definitely probably one of the best rounds I've had all year long. And so I was really happy with how I finished in the prelim. And then I went and shot a couple other side events. I won the feed task, so I felt really good about that too. And then the 3-day main event came around the corner, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. First day, so the first day was out of 66 targets. I believe I shot 56. Yeah. So I was 3 targets behind, and I knew that going into the second day. And my first day, I had a good round, but it just didn't seem like I could run a station, right? So, like, if it was a 6-target station, I was hitting 5 out of 6.
Yeah.
So I just kind of struggle busted.
Talking about that mental game. You're like, why can I not close a station here? Yeah.
And so, like, my second day, I was like, you know what? Like, just get up here and do your thing. And going into this shoot, I had promised myself one thing, and that was to not shoot with fear.
Yeah.
And so my second day, I was like, just do your thing. So I shot well. I shot a 61 out of 68 on my second day. That put me 2 targets back. So going in my last day, I knew that I really just needed to do what I do best. And that's just getting up there, you know, going through my pre-shot routine, taking my time, and not overthinking. And so I did that, and I ended up winning by three targets.
Yeah.
And going back to the shooting with no fear thing, that has been so huge for my game here recently. So I would say the past 3 years for me have been the best years of my shooting. I've been most successful. And I feel like the reason behind that has been that I've kind of let go of, okay, well, I need to shoot this, or I have to win this, those types of things.
Yeah.
Kind of taking the pressure off. You know, at the end of the day, the cards are going to lay how they lay.
Right.
And so I really focused on, you know, all 3 days, I was just telling myself, no fear, no fear. Everybody's going to miss, right? And it's who can hold it together for 3 days. And so I felt really good about how I finished on my last day. I shot a 60 out of 66 on my last day. And I was pretty happy. And I won by 3 targets. So it's not always about who's practicing the most, who's out there pulling the trigger, you know.
Yeah.
Sometimes you just need to take a step back, get your mindset right, and everything else will come together. Because let's face it, like all of us at the top, we know how to shoot our shotgun.
Yep.
That's not the question. It's who's going to bring the better mental game this weekend.
Yeah.
You know, who's going to read the targets better? Who's going to do less thinking, more focusing?
Yeah.
All of those types of things. And so when all that comes together, it's an awesome feeling. And, you know, one of the most fun things about this sport is knowing that you're growing in it, being a mentor to other people. And so that's been my favorite thing. Just like what we're doing right now. You know, I hope that this podcast inspires someone to get out there and at least go try shooting clays, you know? And if that's what somebody gets out of this, then that makes me happy. So.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, sporting clays is a sport, you know? So,
it is.
So it's a lot. I mean, any book you read about sporting, the mental game behind sporting is like extremely prevalent.
It is.
So that's a really cool story.
Thank you.
I'm not going to lie to you.
Thank you.
Yeah, coming in off of a break, you know, and like taking the US Open, that is killer.
And like looking back now, I'm so happy I did that for myself.
Yeah.
You know, I went and enjoyed something that I love to do, which is turkey hunt. And it's not just about turkey hunt. It's about being outside, being outdoors, you know, just being closer to nature, being closer to God for me. And that was something that I really needed.
Yeah.
And it just helped me relax, and I did my preparation just in a different sense this time.
Yeah.
And it was way different than I would normally do, for some of these other shoots, it would be, that plus practicing.
Right.
And there was actually a study done. They took, I believe it was 50 basketball players, and half of them, they went and practiced for 30 days, just free throws.
Mm-hmm.
And then the other half of them, they just visualized. And at the end, they had them come back. And the guys who just visualized actually did better than the guys who worked for 30 days.
Yeah.
Not saying you don't need to shoot, because you definitely do.
You need the reps, guys. Yeah.
But at a certain point, when we're competing at a high level, what it really matters is the mental game.
Right.
If you're confident in yourself, you can do whatever you put your mind to, right? And it's so much easier to believe that you can't do something than it is that you can do something. You can talk yourself out of something super quick.
Really fast.
But to talk yourself into something, it's way harder to do because it's all a mind game, basically.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, that's great advice. I love you always compare sporting clays to a different sport, and that makes me laugh. But it's true. It's such a mixture, a culmination of things.
It is.
So mind you, Madison shot clays, like she said, for 13 years. So her taking your break is different. Like, don't think that you're just going to walk to a sporting clay shoot and win, because you're like, I haven't shot a shotgun. But yeah, I mean, refreshing your brain, getting out in nature, 10 out of 10 every time. Yeah. Thank you so much for being here. I know that you're, just stopping by, but it was great to see you. Thank you so much. Yeah.
Thank you for having me. I'm excited to be back here again, like I said, and it's been awesome doing this. Again, I hope that I can inspire at least one person to get out there and try clay shooting.
Absolutely. Well, there you have it, guys. Remington is on the rise. Like, comment, subscribe, and be sure to share this podcast with your hunting or shooting buddies. If you have any questions for me or Madison here, you can email us at podcast@remington.com. Thanks for listening.